You know, some secrets aren't meant to be cruel. They're meant to protect. He didn't tell anyone, not even his closest friends, that he was quietly supporting his two adult children, month after month, year after year. Rent payments, credit card bills, car insurance, even a few emergency Venmo transfers when they ran short before payday. On the outside, he looked like a retired man living a peaceful life. But inside, he was carrying a financial weight that no one saw coming. This is the story of Tom, a 67-year-old father who loved his children so much that he nearly sacrificed his own retirement for them. And what happened next? Well, it's something every parent, every child, and every investor needs to hear. Tom had done everything right, or so he thought. He'd worked for over 40 years in the same logistics company, saved diligently, paid off his mortgage, built a modest 401k. By the time he turned 65, he was ready to slow down, maybe travel a little, volunteer, and finally breathe. But here's the catch. His two adult children, both in their 30s, hadn't quite found financial stability. His daughter Emily was juggling student loans and a part-time job in marketing after being laid off during the pandemic. His son Ryan was still figuring things out, bouncing between freelance gigs and startup dreams. Tom looked at them and thought, I can't just sit back and watch them struggle. So he started helping. At first, it was small. $200 here, $300 there. Then rent payments. Then credit card bills. And before he knew it, he was sending over $1,500 a month.
Now here's the thing. Tom never told anyone. Not his siblings, not his financial advisor, not even his late wife's sister, who often checked in on him. He told himself it's temporary, just until they get back on their feet. But temporary turned into years, and slowly his savings began to drain. The problem wasn't just the money leaving his account. It was the emotional pressure that came with it. He couldn't say no, because every time he tried, he'd hear his daughter say, "Dad, I promise I'll pay you back." Or his son text, "Just this one last time, I swear." Sound familiar? It's not just Tom. According to a 2023 CNBC report, over 59% of U.S. parents are providing some form of financial support to their adult children, and nearly 1 in 5 are dipping into retirement savings to do it. By year 3, Tom's savings had taken a noticeable hit. He sat in front of his computer one evening, logged into his online banking, and realized something terrifying. His retirement account had dropped by over $80,000 since he started helping. But what really hurt wasn't just the number. It was the realization that his children didn't even notice. They had gotten used to it. The support wasn't temporary anymore. It had become expected. One night, over dinner, he hinted that he might need to cut back. Emily's face fell. Ryan looked frustrated. And Tom felt something he hadn't felt in years. Guilt. The guilt of saying no to his own children.
A few weeks later, his financial advisor called him in for a routine checkup. After reviewing his accounts, she leaned forward and said, "Tom, if you keep withdrawing at this rate, your retirement won't last the next 10 years." That hit him hard. He had always imagined himself aging gracefully, traveling, maybe buying a small cabin by the lake. But now, even a simple weekend getaway felt like a luxury. The advisor then asked, "Can I ask, where's all this money going?" Tom paused, and then, for the first time, he told the truth about the transfers, the rent, the temporary help that never ended. She listened carefully and said something that stayed with him forever. "Tom, love and support don't have to mean financial dependence. Sometimes helping too much prevents growth." That night, Tom sat alone in his living room, staring at the old family photos. He thought about all the times he'd rescued his kids from financial trouble, and all the times they never learned how to rescue themselves. The next morning, he decided it was time for a change. He invited both kids over for Sunday lunch, and after dessert, he said calmly, "I love you both more than anything, but I can't keep doing this. It's time you stand on your own 2 feet." The room went silent. At first, they didn't understand. They thought he was angry, but he wasn't. He was just tired. He explained how his savings were running low, how his future was at risk, and how they needed to start making their own financial decisions, even if that meant making mistakes. Emily cried. Ryan stayed quiet. But a few weeks later, something changed. Emily picked up a full-time job and started budgeting seriously. Ryan began freelancing consistently and took a financial literacy course online. And for the first time in years, Tom wasn't transferring money every month. He was transferring wisdom.
Months passed. Tom started feeling lighter. He joined a local community center, made new friends, even took a weekend trip to Florida, something he hadn't done in ages. But more importantly, his relationship with his children got better. Without money between them, conversations became more meaningful. They talked about life, not bills, about dreams, not due dates. And slowly, his children began to appreciate him not just as a provider, but as a parent who believed in them. Here's the truth most parents don't want to admit. Sometimes the greatest act of love isn't giving, it's letting go. When you keep supporting adult children financially, you're not just risking your savings, you're risking their independence. A 2024 Bankrate survey found that 70% of parents who financially support adult kids say it's hurting their own retirement. And yet, most say they'd do it again. Why? Because love clouds logic. Because guilt whispers louder than reason. Because no one wants to see their child struggle. But as Tom learned, struggle builds resilience. And if you never let them fall, they'll never learn how to stand.
So, if you're a parent watching this right now, ask yourself, are you helping or enabling? Are you investing in your child's growth or funding their comfort zone? And when was the last time you checked your financial health before helping someone else? There's a reason flight attendants say, put your own oxygen mask on first. Because you can't help others, not truly, if you can't breathe yourself. Tom's story isn't rare. It's real. It's happening in homes all across America. Parents quietly draining their retirement to protect their kids from the real world, only to realize, too late, that the best gift they could have given was financial independence. So maybe, just maybe, the next time your child calls asking for a little help them in a different way. Teach them to budget, to save, to invest, to plan for the long term. Because one day, they'll thank you for it. Not for the money you gave, but for the lessons that built their future. If you found Tom's story eye-opening, hit that like button. It helps the channel reach more people who need to hear this. And if you've ever been in Tom's shoes, or your parents were, drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. Because the real conversation starts here.